The Little Belly Dancer. Narrated, written, and created by Tayler Turner. Chapter 3. 3 weeks later, Jubaila lay in bed while staring out her window, daydreaming about her and her sister playing with paddle dolls at night when they were supposed to be asleep. She giggled at the memory, eyes lowering slowly as her gaze upon the window dimmed and darkened with each blink. As she finally closed her eyes, she sensed a black, shifty shadow swiftly dart across the outside of her window. Jubaila then awakened and felt a presence outside her bedroom. Curious, she tentatively walked towards her window. She looked to the left and to the right. She gasped in a whisper, "Laila!" Jubaila creeped out her window into the night. Bare feet on the ground, she ran up quickly to hug Laila. The two embraced. "Oh, Juby, are you okay? I missed you so much." Laila holds her sister's face. They embrace again. "Laila, I can't believe you are here. Sunrise will be here soon," Jubaila excitedly exclaims. "Shh, Juby, you wake Baba." Laila quiets her younger sister. A more serious tone. More serious than expected. Laila and Jubaila look at each other for a moment. Laila then breaks and lifts up her leather pouch with a dead weasel lying inside of it. "I brought the abnorsen. It's fresh." Laila cracks a small smile. "We must bury it now, before the shams come up." The sisters then dig a small hole leading under their house to bury the weasel. "No more crows," Laila assured Jubaila with a look. She grabbed Jubaila's hands. "Close your eyes." The two pray together. "The gods will bless you now," she confirmed. Jubaila looked in her eyes with hope as the relief began to set in. While Laila and Jubaila commenced talking about their past and childhood memories, Jubaila then asked Laila what made her want to dance in the first place. As Laila continued to lean on the rails of the fence surrounding the farm, she threw her head back into her first memory, a flashback to when she was a young girl. "I was 12, she started, "when I saw my first dancer. She was beautiful. I happened to be with Baba at the time." Confused, Jubaila questions her own whereabouts in this memory of her sister's. "Where was I?" Laila looks at Jubaila and states, "You are too young and annoying to come along." She continued, "Baba met this man at the market one day, and he presented him an offer he could not refuse. When he told Mama, Mama warned that it would be a bad idea. Baba did not know the man. He was already a successful spice merchant. So Baba decided to go out and meet with the man one night and make the deal of buying this most valuable spice." Laila shook her head in disappointment. Jubaila, out of curiosity, asked her sister, "Laila, why were you there?" Laila responded, "Baba wanted me to learn the trade so I could take over someday." "You don't remember us playing in Baba's Spices when you were small?" Jubaila had a faint memory, but it wasn't too much to remember. Laila continued, "That night he dragged me into the meeting with anger. He told me not to say a word and to listen to everything they say." Laila began to reminisce. "Baba and I go to this matamam called Melki, or Royal. We sit at the table waiting for the mysterious man to arrive. The matamam was cozy with dim lights. Only important people went there. It was an interesting choice to bring a 12-year-old there, but I was well behaved and good, as Baba has told me since birth that I was his brightest star." Jubaila widened her eyes as this information surprised her. Laila is Baba's favorite? Jubaila thought. Laila continued with the flashback. "As the man came and presented his spice, A woman came out dancing into the people while they ate. A belly dancer. She had skin as honey, beautiful long hair, a scarlet bedla with rubies and gold dangling from her top and skirt. She was definitely Melki. As the deal was happening and Baba was negotiating, the dancers seemed to get closer to our area. After it felt like hours for them to agree, Baba handed over the money to the man. As soon as Baba did that, the dancer came up to Baba and began pulling at his collar to dance with her. Baba declined and decided to smell the spices he had just been sold. But when he opened the jar, he realized that he's been sold one tiny jar of an awful tasting cheap spice, and the rest of the spices were jars of colored and scented sand. By the time Baba realized the rest of the spices was sand, the man was gone. The belly dancer then came up again, but then she started dancing towards me. I was shy at first, but I allowed her to pull me out of my seat, allowing her to dance around me. Baba was distraught at the deal gone wrong, cursing loudly at the table. It was too late to do anything about the spices. When the dance was over, the belly dancer kneeled to meet me and held both of my hands. She asked if Baba was my father, and I said yes. She eased her glance from him back to me, and I told her I wanted to be like her when I was her age. She smiled, and then she gave me this. Laila then pulled out a giant gold coin. 500 piasters. It was enough to buy bread and fish for a month. From that moment, I knew what had happened to Baba. It was so bad that he sold his business and became what he is now, a man who harvests the land. You can see why Baba does not like belly dances. He thinks the dancer is disrespectful, a woman of the night who sells herself to men, influences bad trade deals, tries to bring marriages to ruin, and drags other women into the world of greed. But that is not the case. What I saw that night was a royal princess, a woman who could take care of herself, who attempted to console Baba, who had her own Malon. I knew there was a chance Baba would not like what I'd become, that I would lose being his brightest star. But I wanted to be beautiful, not sell spices. I wanted to be myself and dance, not go through bad trade deals. Jubaila then understood why her sister decided to dance. At a pivotal moment within the family, Laila had goals of taking care of the family at 12. She did not know how she was going to achieve it, but she did it, and was one to aim to be the best belly dancer in all of Egypt. Jubaila admired her sister even more. Laila then explained how she remembered the good old days the family used to have, which motivated her to start dancing as well, to be able to upkeep the finances of the family easily and to keep everyone happy. I wanted to be like the woman in the scarlet bedla. I would have given anything in the world to be her. Every time I dance, I aim to be like her. Laila then looked towards the ground. I am nothing if I do not dance, Jubaila. Jubaila quickly laid her hand on her sister's shoulder. Don't say that! I mean, I have no purpose in life if I am not dancing. Laila corrected herself. She explained that she simply needed to free herself from the boredom and routine of a life her parents set out for her to become. I want excitement and adventure. Laila looked up to the night stars, and she gently slid her hand down Jubaila's hair, as if she wanted the same for her too. Laila then gathered her composure and remembered why she was at the farm at night in the first place. There to bring more money to the family, Laila seemed more serious than before. Now that she couldn't come to Cairo and her family had already been downgraded to farmers, she couldn't help but possibly imagine what would happen if they lost their land. Laila handed Jubaila a small brown pouch full of gold coins. For all of you, She then crouches down to the ground and lights a small fire in the pit where they roast their food. Hopefully, this does not awaken them. I want to teach you something. Laila lifted up her cloak so Jubaila could see her hips, but she couldn't dare take it off and unhood herself, for someone would catch her. Laila demonstrates the move. This is called the Maya. You move your hips up, away, and down like an upwards number 8. Jubaila looks in amazement, but stares at her own hips as if she feels there wouldn't be much life in them as her sisters. You try. This move will entice any man you see. It will make him bow down to you in honor. He will kiss your feet. Jubaila looked puzzled, but Laila insisted. It is the truth. A man did that to me once. She drifted off. As the two practiced by the fire for a bit, Laila critiques her sister a bit more strictly. Jubaila didn't know why. Psst, Jubaila! You mustn't do that. What am I doing wrong? Jubaila, Jubi, move your hips in a flowing way. You do not want to look like a stick who cannot move. Jubaila starts to get frustrated. I do not know if I want to be like you. Laila stops for a moment in shock. This hurts Laila, but she keeps going. She knows what Jubaila needs, and she knows what she is made for. She grabs Jubaila by the dress collar and looks her deep into her eyes as the fire reflects her anger. Jubaila, you will dance until I say you cannot dance anymore. You and I both know what you want a taste of. You've been dreaming of having my life. Weave all the baskets you want, but you'll never gain as much as you could. She lets her sister go as the anger that took over her had gone. Laila looks down at the ground as her sister adjusts herself. It was during this time that Jubaila felt something shift in her sister. She's been mad at her before, but not with as much seriousness attached to it. Here. Laila hands Jubaila something under a black cloth. Jubaila takes the cloth with the item under it and reveals it. It's a golden headdress made of 24-karat gold. From Luxor. Laila starts to prepare herself to leave their house. Don't worry about me, Jubi. I am making lots of money where I am. I will stay there as long as I can and will see you every chance I get. Laila had a strong intuition and knew Jubaila would need to be severely trained soon. She wouldn't be the only breadwinner of the family. Laila explains that she needs to stay hidden, so she is staying at a small inn down the street. Tomorrow, I want to show you something. Laila then departs from her sister as the fire continues to crackle. Jubaila stands there with a headdress in hand and gold coins sitting by her feet. The fire behind her as she watches her sister drift into the darkness. What was to become of little Jubaila? The next morning, Jubaila bakes morning naan for the family and a side meal. She packs the leftovers and heads over to the inn where Laila was staying. The door is left open, and Jubaila finds Laila stretching on the mat on the floor. She welcomes her in and eventually eats the breakfast that her sister had made for her. After she eats, Laila pays for the inn, covers her head and face, and the sisters take a walk towards a richer neighbor's farm to borrow some horses to ride to Giza. As the sisters ride the horses miles away from home, amongst the sands of time, they finally reach Giza. They stop and relax and watch the pyramids from afar. Jubaila starts thinking of their history as a people. They're beautiful, Jubaila said in awe. This was her first time seeing the pyramids this close. The pyramids were about 100 feet from them in the desert. We need to keep this close to us. The gifts our people put on this earth, it's priceless. Laila agrees. Yes, our story is priceless. Always remember where you come from, Jubaila. You are meant to be great. Laila and Jubaila smile at each other and continue looking into the distance. When it came to faith, Laila followed more of the old world, and Jubaila has adopted more modern beliefs. You should go and have an old woman read your palm if you are uncertain of your direction in life. Jubaila declines her sister's offer. She doesn't know why, but she didn't think that was necessary. My heart knows, even though I may not know. Jubaila meets her sister's eyes. I will go to the temple and pray instead. When they return from their small trip, the women return the horses. They start to walk in the neighborhood streets that seem to be pretty empty. Laila decided to play Simon Says. She runs and does a cartwheel. Jubaila laughs. She does the same thing, almost as good as her sister. Laila then kicks her leg up as high as she could, laughing. Jubaila, do this! Jubaila does the same. Then Laila shimmies her shoulders and shakes her hips. Jubaila copies, but is a little slow with it. Then Laila waves her arms and Jubaila copies. Laila then walks while shimmying her hips, then does a turn and does a waving motion with her arms. Jubaila starts the movement when a young boy opens his window from the second floor in one of the buildings lining the neighborhood streets and cries, "A belly dancer!" Jubaila is alarmed and looks at her sister. Laila tries to calm the boy down. "Mama, a belly dancer! Mama! Mama, a belly dancer!" Shh, it's okay. We are not belly dancers. We are not belly dancers. A man walks around the corner and hears the boy screaming and sees the sisters. Laila yells at her sister, "Jubaila, run!" The two run down the street in between the houses. Jubaila grabs her sister's hand and Laila pulls her sister beside her as they run. Jubaila trips on a rock and falls. Laila looks back and sees the man chasing behind her sister. The man then catches Jubaila as he grabs her ankle and drags her off the ground. The man picks Jubaila up and slaps her. He forms a fist and then starts to punch her. But Laila kicks him from behind. The man loses his balance and starts to hit Laila. But Laila pulls out a dagger and aims at his head. Laila yells at the man to back up. "Get away from her! I will hurt you! We are not belly dancers! We are Awalim girls mocking the Gawazi!" The man stands there a bit, speechless and alarmed. Laila then threatens him even more that she will do something to him if he touches her sister again. The man then runs off. Laila quickly gets her sister and asks if she's okay. Jubaila gets up stunned by her sister's new behavior. She was not the sister she once knew. The old Laila was gone. Jubaila then replies that she was all right, and the two continue to run through the village back to the inn. Laila puts on a veil and takes a boat back to Luxor. Before she sets sail, she tells her sister that they might have to take a small break from seeing each other. Jubaila agrees, and the sisters depart. It's been 4 months since Jubaila had seen her sister. One day, on her way to get more food for the donkeys, she stops in her tracks to see a painted poster of her sister and some of the Gawazi advertising to go see them in a show in Upper Thebes. Jubaila gets excited for her sister, that she is making a name for herself, but slightly worried that she might attract the wrong people. Jubaila takes the poster down and keeps it for herself. While tending to the donkeys, Jubaila hears her Baba coughing profusely throughout the house. She starts to head inside, but sees her mother rush over to him with the veil on and helps him sit down. Jubaila is worried, but she allows her mother to handle her father. After the donkeys were tended to, Jubaila and her mother were in the weaving room. It is here that her mother routinely talks to Jubaila about men and how she must keep herself pure for her husband. Jubaila keeps her head down as she is tired of hearing this being lectured to her. "Mama, what if I don't want to be a weaver like you? What if my heart chooses something else?" Mama is a bit confused, but continues to explain to her daughter that her profession is good. "Weaving is good money, Jubaila. With your beautiful weaving, you will attract a husband," Mama assured Jubaila. "That is how I got your Baba," she joked. Jubaila looked up at her mother in slight surprise, but laughed off the awkwardness. "Mama, I want to be free." Jubaila, suddenly filled with anxiety, waits for her mother's response. "Free? Free from what, Jubaila?" Mama started to get a bit irritated at the comment. "Mama, free from—" "You are no slave. You are not chained to the ground. Free from what, Jubaila? I do not want to weave baskets or farm the land. I want to be something that I love, Jubaila blurted out. Mama had heard that saying before, and it reminded her of Laila. And what do you love, Jubaila? Huh? What do you love to do? Jubaila stares at her mother like a lost sand cat. Her mother studies her daughter and tries to figure out what she means, but deep down in her heart, she knows the truth. You are free right here. You can walk where you please. You are no slave. You sell baskets and sew dresses. You are a free woman, Jubaila. I have worked my way to give you this freedom, and you do not want? I do not know what to do with you. Jubaila and her mama continued to weave in silence. From then on, Jubaila continued to spend more time dwelling within her comfort zone and routine. Life became even more boring for her, and she missed her sister dearly. Laila's letters were still coming in, but not as frequent. Jubaila knew her sister was busy and must keep moving. However, worry began to tread lightly in her spirit. She sensed something was going to change. As she wrote Laila another letter one day, she is interrupted by another extreme episode of coughing from her Baba. Baba is now bedridden and has been caught with the Black Death virus, a sickness more heavier than when Laila took care of them. This time, only her Baba was affected. A couple days later, Jubaila and her mother went to the market together to get more materials for the weaving, food, and medicine for Baba. They leave a vase for Baba to drink out of while they are gone. As Jubaila and her mama walked to the market with baskets in hand, the smell of roasted lamb cooked with dukkha saturated the air. Beautiful colored garments flowed in the wind, and the verbal exchanges of buyers and sellers with street music played in the background. As they shop together, Jubaila wanders off and gets distracted by a beggar, a man and his dancing cobra. She had seen this act before, but for some reason this time the snake's body seemed to hypnotize her for a bit. The movement. She slowly walked closer and stared at the snake as it moved swiftly, lifting higher and higher. The hypnotic music from the beggar's mizmar buzzes in her ear and puts her in a trance. Jubaila's eyes widened with pure awe as the cobra slowly continued to wind side to side, higher and higher, higher and higher. People from left and right started walking by, throwing money in his basket in slow motion. The man then made eye contact with Jubaila as she stared. The snake then turned around and stared into her eyes as well. It was as if it was a divine intervention, but she didn't yet know what it meant. Suddenly, Jubaila hears a faint call of her name. She looked closer and realized it was the snake that hissed her name. Then she hears the call of her mother in the distance. Jubaila! It gets louder. Jubaila! And louder until she's yanked back into reality. Mama pulls Jubaila's arm. Jubi, what are you doing? We have to get back home for Baba. Jubaila snapped out of it. The snake is back in base position, and the man is no longer looking at her, and people are no longer throwing money. I'm sorry, Mama. Let us go. When they arrived home from the market, all the donkeys in the stable were gone, except for one. Their crops had all been picked out of the ground. There was rope around the stable and the farmland. The donkey had a sign on it that read, "Sold to the Pasha." Mama dropped all her groceries. She lets out a horrifying scream. Jubaila runs into her room to find it ransacked. Mama runs into the house to find Baba still in bed near death with a knife slash on his cheek and the broken vase of water near his bed. Under the broken vase was a painted poster of Laila from Jubaila's room. Baba could no longer pay taxes, and money hasn't been sent from Laila in a few months. Mama frantically asked him what happened to him, and Baba struggled to speak. but revealed that the Pasha is now looking for Laila, and he wants her killed.